I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert." These famous words by Percy Bysshe Shelley speak of Ozymandias, the Greek name for one of history's most powerful men. But while the poem suggests a king whose works have crumbled into nothingness, the reality of Ramses II is far more enduring. He was not just a king, he was a god on earth, a master of propaganda, and a builder of monuments that have defied the very passage of time. Today, we peel back the layers of sand and myth to uncover the man who refused to be forgotten. To look upon his face today is a haunting experience. Preserved in the cool halls of the museum, the mummy of Ramses the Great still commands a strange, silent respect. His hooked nose, his tufts of red hair, and his strong jawline remain visible 3,000 years after his last breath. He lived nearly a century, outliving his children, his wives, and most of his subjects. This is the story of how a young prince became a warrior, how a warrior became a builder, and how a builder transformed himself into an immortal legend. Welcome to the world of Ramses II, the pharaoh who never truly died. Ramses was born into a military dynasty. His grandfather, Ramses I, had been a commoner who rose through the ranks of the army to seize the throne, but it was his father, the formidable Seti I, who truly shaped the young prince. From a tender age, Ramses was groomed for leadership. He wasn't just taught to read and write. He was taught the art of war, the nuances of diplomacy, and the weight of the crown. Seti took his son on military campaigns, ensuring the boy saw the realities of empire firsthand before he ever sat upon the throne. At the age of 14, Ramses was named Prince Regent. This wasn't a symbolic title. He was already commanding troops and managing state affairs. By the time he ascended the throne in his early 20s, he was a seasoned veteran. He inherited a kingdom at its zenith, but one that faced growing threats from the north. The Hittite Empire was expanding, and a clash between these two superpowers was inevitable. Ramses knew that his reign would be defined not just by how he ruled within Egypt's borders, but by how he defended those borders against the encroaching shadows of rival kings. The year was 1274 BC. Ramses led an army of 20,000 men toward the city of Kadesh. It was a high-stakes gamble intended to secure Egyptian dominance. However, the pharaoh was walking into a trap. Hittite spies lied about their army's location, claiming they were far to the north. In reality, the Hittite king was waiting behind the city with thousands of heavy chariots. As the Egyptian divisions were strung out, the Hittites struck. The blow was devastating. Chariots crashed into the Egyptian ranks like a tidal wave, leaving the pharaoh himself surrounded by enemies. This was the moment that would define Ramses's life. According to Egyptian accounts, the pharaoh stood alone. He called out to his father, the god Amun, and charged into the fray 6 times. Whether it was divine intervention or pure tactical desperation, Ramses managed to rally his fleeing troops until reinforcements arrived. The Battle of Kadesh ended in a bloody stalemate, the largest chariot battle in history. But Ramses did something revolutionary. He returned to Egypt and declared it a total victory. He used the power of art and architecture to rewrite history, portraying himself as a solitary hero. Shortly after, he signed the world's first recorded peace treaty, proving he was a master of the pen too. If you travel to Egypt today, you cannot escape Ramses the Great. He was perhaps the most prolific builder in human history. Ramses didn't just build new temples, he renovated old ones, often chiseling out the names of previous pharaohs and replacing them with his own. He wanted his name to be synonymous with Egypt itself. At Karnak, he completed the staggering Great Hypostyle Hall, a forest of 134 massive columns that dwarf any visitor. The scale of his vision was unprecedented. He wasn't just building structures, he was building a legacy that would speak for him long after he was gone. But his greatest architectural achievement sits in the south, at Abu Simbel. Carved directly into the side of a mountain, 4 60-foot statues of Ramses guard the entrance. The temple was designed with such precision that twice a year, the sun's rays penetrate the inner sanctum to illuminate the gods within. It was a clear message to the neighboring peoples. Ramses is the Sun King, and his power is eternal. Nearby, he built a temple for his favorite wife, Nefertari, marking a rare instance of a queen being honored on such a scale. These temples were psychological warfare, designed to awe anyone who entered. In the north, he created a whole new capital, Pi-Ramesses. Once a lush, vibrant city filled with gardens, canals, and military barracks, it was the beating heart of his empire. Ramses also built the Ramesseum, his massive mortuary temple, which featured a colossal statue that weighed over 1,000 tons. It is the fallen fragments of this very statue that inspired the poem Ozymandias. Looking at the sheer volume of his construction, from the delta to the borders of Sudan, it is clear that Ramses viewed himself as the ultimate architect of Egyptian civilization. He physically reshaped the land to his own image. Behind the colossal statues was a man with a complex personal life. Ramses had over 200 wives and fathered more than 100 children, yet one woman stood above the rest, Nefertari. His love for her was legendary. He called her the one for whom the sun shines, and her tomb in the Valley of the Queens is widely considered the most beautiful in Egypt. The vibrant colors of its wall paintings have remained remarkably intact, showing Nefertari being guided by the gods. This intimate side of Ramses, as a husband and a father, humanizes the towering figure we see in the stone carvings. As the decades passed, the vibrant warrior king grew old. Ramses ruled for an incredible 66 years. By the time he reached his 80s, he was suffering from severe arthritis and painful dental issues. The physical toll of his long life is etched into his mummy. He outlived many of his sons, including his intended heir, Kamwaset. When Ramses finally died at the age of 90, the entire nation was in shock. Most Egyptians had never known another king. He was buried in the Valley of the Kings, surrounded by the gold and secrets that would accompany him to the stars for all eternity. The legacy of Ramses didn't end with his burial. For centuries after his death, later pharaohs looked to him as the gold standard of kingship. 9 more kings would take the name Ramses, hoping to capture a fraction of his glory. In the 19th century, the world's fascination with him was reborn when his mummy was discovered in a secret cache hidden away by priests to protect it. Suddenly, the world could look into the eyes of the man who had challenged empires and built mountains. He transitioned from a ruler of the desert to a ruler of our collective history. Today, Ramses II remains the face of ancient Egypt. He is the pharaoh of the Exodus for many, and the Ozymandias of literature. His temples are UNESCO World Heritage Sites, saved from the rising waters of the Nile in a massive international effort. A modern testament to the value we still place on his works. Ramses succeeded in his ultimate goal. He achieved immortality. As long as the sun rises over the statues at Abu Simbel and as long as his name is spoken, the pharaoh who never died continues to rule our imagination. He was, and always will be, Ramses the Great.